Yeah. Boom. How you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty daggone good in the green room while I'm
Heck
waiting.
yeah.
I had some green with me, and I'm feeling very loose, relaxed, available.
Right? Oh man, I'm super glad to see that. With being able to be a part of so many different things, with whether you're doing the Carpenters Apprentice or you're working with Growing Empowered together during this time. What is your thoughts on technology and the fact that we're able to do this? Like,
I don't. I don't. Man, look, I got a very complicated relationship with technology. So it's you ask that question, and it's just like because I've been smoking. Also, I have like a 20-page answer that I now got to condense into 20 words, right? So, I love the ability to be able to connect like this. But it is very scary what they're doing with technology too. The way that they're tracking us, the way that they're monitoring what we're up to. That Google and Apple have come together to make sure that we. And all of it is in the name of coronavirus safety, but we have no idea how they'll use it after this, or how they've been using it before this. Was I supposed to not get that conspiratorial?
oh, oh no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. Yeah, you got it. I had to make sure I had your the Instagram for the TC Apprentice scrolling at the bottom.
Oh, thanks, man.
But yeah, like that's one of the things. It does make me think about that a lot because it's just all like, during these times, it is this duality that goes on. There's this progression that's going on, but there is this also more access that they have, that just in general, whether it's, the apps that you download or the different stuff. Like I was reading this article about Google and its issues with Windows 10 and this whole privacy breach and stuff that are going there, and I'm just all like, fuck, like I just upgraded to Windows 10. Like I totally was so reluctant to upgrade to Windows 10 because personally I was like, Windows 7 is the shit. They had it perfected. I was just all like, I didn't stay on Windows 8. And personally, I love Macs in general as a creator. I'm just all like the machine itself, as far as video, audio, everything like that. It just performs better, But with PC, I've like been PC just because there is still its use, its accessibility of not being so restricted, but so I get torn because I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna install Linux, like.
Well, you use computers in a totally different way than I use them. I use them for like I have had a computer, a laptop, and a desktop over the past 3 years, and I've maybe cracked it open 3 times, either one of them, period, both like combined total 3 times. So I use it for very simple stuff. To me, Windows 98 is when they had already hit the pinnacle, and they should have just stopped there. It was super easy to use. I think you could probably still use that operating system today, and you'd be okay. Because all I need is Word and the internet.
Oh yeah, definitely. And just to let you know, whenever you talk, I mute myself because it stops it from lagging. And with the podcast and everything like that. So
But
yeah, so
it
no.
told me that because on my end, it can seem like, well, fuck, that didn't land.
Right. It's just all like like
Hey, I guess this is what bombing feels like.
right. Exactly. So what I wanted to reach out because I was just I got to listen to the podcast as far as the recent one with the doc. That one was so dope. So what I want you to do is let people know what the Carpenter's Apprentice is, and then also what is going on with Growing Empowered Together. If a lot of y'all don't know, uh, Roy recently had like a 500 episode celebration, you know. So this is definitely one of those men that are hard working as far as with consistent content. You know, he's all over the place interviewing people. But I'll let him explain it. And shout out the kid, yo. He just dropped the comment. So he's
And
one of our sponsors.
so you and Kinyo were probably y'all were like two of the first creators I'd ever even come across when I was starting things. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember meeting me? Dude, I don't know if we
Yes.
met through Kinyo or not.
Yes. Yeah.
At the garden, right?
Hmm.
At Gardopia?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure. So then, yeah, so there, and you guys just, I was just brand new to the game. I think we had put out less than 20 videos, period. And you guys just put out content so consistently. I said, like, there was other creators out there who were creating, but at a much slower clip. And I thought to myself, well, if these guys can do it, why is not everybody else keeping up? I mean, the more lottery tickets you scratch, the more likely you are to hit a winner. So that was the reason I bring that up is to say you guys were a major inspiration for me being able to be consistent and keep a certain clip to the interviews, because there was times when I was like, this is too much, or I just can't sustain this, and then I would think like, look, if they're doing it, I have no excuse. I need to do it too. I mean, you know, so having other people that you can look at and say, those are hard workers, and someone to model yourself after, that's really cool. Now, TCA, what is it? What we like to call ourselves is like a talk show for the streets. So we talk to real people about their real stories and have a whole lot of real fun. And we go all over town. We talk to whoever we want about whatever we want. Usually it has, so there's two ways that the show gets driven. Either somebody hires us to go out, or it's just something that I'm very interested in and I want the people to know about. And those are like some of the most favorite ones that I have because, man, like even right now, we're working on some great investigative journalism kind of stuff. On my part, it's not journalism; it's commentary. But we've gotten the opportunity to work with real media outlets now, and we're able to talk with them and figure out. Well, I don't know what I can and cannot say about all that, but what I can say is this: we have a tremendous opportunity to do way cooler shit now than I thought we would ever have the opportunity to do. So I'm very grateful for that. And I kind of want to stop talking. I feel like I've gone on too long a stretch on my own. So if you could jump back in, but I didn't.
Oh no, you're doing good. You're doing good. No, just because what I like with doing these is like I like being able to really allow everyone to just say what it is that they need to say. The main thing is that like this is what I want listeners and viewers to be able to do and realize is that these are everyday people, you know, people like Roy, people like other guests that I've had, you know, we've physically been able to interact with each other. We've been able to do other stuff on the outside world. So it's just all like, this is, you know, it's affecting this particular time right now is affecting everyone in a unique way. And I feel like this is just like, if me and you were to, you know, go out and hang out and catch up, it's pretty much like a lot of what this is on top of just giving each person the ability to kind of speak on things that they normally wouldn't on other platforms. You know, like there's no filter on here. So it's just all like, but we want to be able to tie it into a lot of what's going on. So yeah, like keep on.
Man, well, that's pretty cool to know. It's interesting because right now, when you just told me that, I was thinking I was already comfortable talking to you because, you know, we're friends and such. But just having you say that right there, I don't know if this is important for you to know as an interviewer, but just seeing you and how that worked, it made me think, oh, maybe I need to do that too. But when you told me that, it kind of reassured me and made me feel like, oh, you know what? I don't have to have my guard up or be so polished or anything. I can just be myself. It was nice.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, man. So the Carpenters Apprentice, you know, I'm very honored I was able to be a guest on there. That
That's
was this
of our first 100.
right? Like that was super fun, you know. And the one thing that I was able to see is the, you know, seeing how it originally started and then
Yeah.
seeing it like grow on. You know, it's like me being a part of the first 100 and then you being to 500. It's just all like, yo, you just all like, all right, let's take this as far as we can go, you know.
Well, I am sure you have found with creating, there's sometimes when you kind of look at it and you're like, what the fuck? How did this become something that I could like? Something that I love is something that other people are loving and enjoying too, and it just kind of fuels you to keep going. Like, what? It's so fun. You just cannot stop. Hey, but check this out from one of our first interviews, from the interview we did with you. Actually, I was just cleaning the house the other day, and I happened to come across something here. Let me see. Dang it, I don't have it in the front bookshelf, but I came across your book.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, you had given me a copy of your book, and I had it there. I just found it yesterday. I was unpacking some boxes. Ah, shit, I keep getting distracted. But okay, wait. You want me to talk about the Carpenters Apprentice? Let me tell you something cool about that. We just yesterday hit 650 episodes. So the party was in December, and since then, we've got another 150 under our belt. And that 150 has not been like an insignificant 150. We've had some milestone interviews and like videos that have come through there. Oh, can I talk a little bit about one cool thing?
Yeah, definitely.
We had one. We had one interview, or it wasn't even an interview. It was just a report from the constable's office in the South Side, and I was just saying some information I had got that someone there had been infected with coronavirus. A lieutenant constable, or deputy, something like that, and the constable didn't tell nobody. So I got mad, and I put a video on the internet saying what I knew and showing people what was what. There was like police tape on the cars that had been infected and shit. And that interview, man, first time I ever felt like, oh shit, that stone landed and it made waves across the media and the populace, I would think. And man, that was just something else to see. I like to realize, like, oh shit, we can. The only things that separates us from journalists is the belief that you are one.
100%. I think that is so important. I'm gonna make sure that when I use that particular part as, just the snippet for people to listen to this interview, because that's one of the things that I started realizing when it came to writing articles on my website. It was just like I would write these articles about things that I believed in. Like there was one time where there was this show going on at well, it was the White Rabbit, but it was like for abused victims and different things like that. And it was like all these different dope artists. And I went there and I took some videos and everything like that. And then I wrote this article which a bunch of people liked it. It's the same thing as far as like when they had the container homes at Tony G, and I was just all like, so I'm able to just go out and do stories about whatever I want, and wait, I have that power to do that, and it's like, just what you were saying, it's just all like, yes, the only difference is that belief. And in this day and age where you had to go to school, you had to have degrees and everything in order to be this, you now with your thoughts in your phone or your computer or whatever, you can, if you put in the work, that's what makes you that journalist. That's what makes you that videographer. That's what makes you that painter. It doesn't matter as far as what school or anything you went to in this day and age, because what people want is your experience. And if you're someone who is able to deliver on a high level and you don't have any degree in this day and age, they're going to take that versus the person that has the degrees in a lot of cases, because of what you're able to deliver. That's where influencers win right now. Influencers are able to literally do that influence. And when I think about the political climate, or I think about things that are happening locally, it's just like, wait, I have that ability to say something, to call somebody out on their shit, like that's affecting, my people, that's affecting, somebody potentially, and y'all are just throwing this under the rug.
And you know what? So, to that point, and to the point that you are a journalist, if you decide you want to be, a lot of people know a lot of little things about politics, but they keep it to themselves either because they think no one is interested or because they don't want to rock the boat. But if you don't give a fuck either way and you do have some information, let the people know what that information is and let them decide for themselves. Don't just keep it to yourself if you have the ability to do so. Um, and I guess I just want to say that because when I finally realized like, oh fuck, we can report the news ourselves, it was almost like I started wondering who was trying to make us believe that we couldn't before. I mean, who was deciding who were the authorities before this? So it was almost like I was having this slow process where I was coming through a breakthrough where I realized all of us should be doing this from the ground up, not from the top down. Like news should be us telling each other what's going on the internet, and it will like the stories that matter and that are true will get filtered out through the democracy of the internet. People will downvote and get rid of shit that is sucks and not true, and then they'll upvote the other stuff. So when I just started thinking about news like that, it was just like a radical transformation in my mind where I thought, okay, well, if I think that news should come from the bottom up and not the top down, then what can I do to change that? And so right now, what we're doing with the Carpenters Apprentice is building out a network of reporters around town, and we have basically a reporter in every region of town now, and each one of them is working on their own talk show, their own interviews, and there's a day that I foresee coming when it's not just them doing the reporting, but it's them pushing out stories from other people from their neighborhoods too, and us doing some kind of massive show all together. But I don't know what that looks like exactly yet. I'm only now coming to it.
No, that sounds super dope. Like, I mean, when you think about the fact that you're able to do that, especially in the different parts of town that, we're from, whether it's the west side, the south side, the east side, there's stories all the time that never reach local news, let alone the national news or different things like that. That is very important. And who are the people who are the networks that are able to deliver that type of information? There's so many people that are like, this publication lacks in this content and this publication lacks in diversity. And we're in a time, and you're doing that perfectly, where you're able to now bring in all of these things and be a platform that you're able to create. Like, you're just able to be like, hey, this is something that I'm passionate about. Now you're empowering other people. And I think that is a perfect segue into grow and empower together. So, tell the people as far as your interaction with that, how you first, got on with it and what you're currently doing with it.
GET is actually an acronym for Growing Empowered Together, which is a nonprofit that works to get people who are not traditionally involved in the political process involved in the political process. There is different branches of GET as a nonprofit organization, but one of the branches of that tree is the podcast. It's called the Get It Podcast, and that's what we do on that podcast. There's 4 co-hosts on it. It's 5. There's 2 females that interchange. So we have Bella, Andrea, Chad, Ryan, and myself, and each one of us has our own perspective on politics and political things. So on that podcast, what we're trying to do right now is craft our voice. What is it? And we're getting really, I feel it. So with that show, when you watch it, we'll talk about an issue and we'll interview a guest, and then each of us will give our perspective. We'll fight it out. We'll talk shit to each other. We'll do whatever we have to do to get through that issue, and we won't be afraid to have tough conversations with each other. I mean, we're candid in that way, and that show has just come a long way. I'm so proud of what we're doing at Get because, if you listen to our earlier episodes with Get, they're kind of a hot mess. It's kind of we're trying to find our footing. You can tell we're still figuring it out. And as we've been going, just even the last episode we did, I was like, okay, this is getting better. Everyone is starting to take ownership of their corner of the show, and it's really a fun process just to watch 4 young people come together and talk about issues. First of all, it's not often that you meet other young people that enjoy politics even a little bit, and then especially not that you meet somebody that enjoys it enough to talk about it for more than 10 minutes without their eyes glazing over. So it's really cool to be on Get. I got involved with Get. Dr. Lauren Browning is the one who's in charge of it. And in 2012 or 13, something like that, she had asked me to get involved with the beginnings of Get. And I was like, who the heck is this old kook? And I thought, I don't know what pipe dream she's selling, but she's not suckering me. So then I walked away, right? I don't even paid any mind. I walked away from it, didn't think about it again. Then all these years later, what year was it? 2019. A comedian friend of mine sent me an email and said, "Hey, I'm doing some game show with an organization called Get. The game show is about politics, and they need a person to fill in tomorrow. They had somebody cancel." So I said, "Okay, I'm in. I'm in." So I went over there, and fuck, wouldn't you know it? I don't. God bless everybody who was on that program that day, but I just happened to be more well. How do I say this? I happened to watch the news a touch more, I guess, than everybody else. So fuck, we slaughtered them. Our team just slaughtered the competition. But
I remember
and I
that.
was like, even I was starting to feel a little bad, but in the heat of competition, I can't stop. So yeah, we the doc came up afterwards. She messaged me again and she said, "Look, it seems like you're really in touch with what's going on. We really need to work together." And then we all got together and I didn't. It's so cool because you were there too at those original meetings when we just didn't know what the fuck at all we were doing, and we were talking about it. You remember those?
Oh yeah, no.
And I think back to even that first meeting. I remember coming in, and first of all, I thought it was a solo show, so I was like, "Who the fuck are all these people?" and
Oh yeah.
and then we had to like figure out how it all worked, and then we went through like I don't know how many female co-hosts before we found these two that have stuck with us and it really blended, and it just feels really good now.
No, it's really awesome. Like the more and more that you know, it's really cool because I get to really see how things progress. You know, the thing with Lauren, shout out to Lauren,
Yeah.
is she's thorough. You know, like working with her, I realized how much other steps are needed when it came to production and just things that look great. You know, if there's anything that no one can ever take away is the fact that she really wants what she's delivering to look good because she knows that she wants to make sure that you're able to hear it, you're able to see it clearly, you're able to get the message. And I think that that's the really cool thing, is that she's very open minded. We've been able to do the game show, the dance, freaking dance for the causes, like like all these different things. And I think that that's especially in neighborhoods like where we come from. It's just all like it's empowering us to be creative. Like you're giving me a platform for me to be me with no judgment. Like I think that that's very powerful, and I think that that is the beginning steps, whether she realizes it or not, to actually getting people to vote. First, you have to empower them to feel good within themselves, to even feel comfortable to even get out there on the polls, and I think that she's
If
doing a
you
good
know,
job as far as with that.
it's so funny because people are always trying to figure out why people don't vote, and I'm like, some of these you like, how do you not know what real people live like? Some of these people don't even give a fuck about their own lives. How do you expect that they will give a fuck about politics? It's not until, like you said, we empower people, invest in them, and show them that if life has purpose, then it gives it meaning. That will really be able to. I see. To me, the trick is to activate individuals. The political part will come afterwards. Just in your path to self development and progress, you will start to vote just on your own. But really, I think what we're facing is a real crisis of confidence. It's like people just don't have the confidence in themselves or in their ability to make change in their own lives and in the world that they see. And what I love about Doc is that she saw something like that too. But instead of just bitching about it or saying, "Hey, one day, how many people have you met that one day I'm going to start a nonprofit? One day I'm going to do," and you're like, "Well, man, how long have you been saying that?"
Right. Like they'll be doing that for years, like.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, don't start accepting donations. Just kidding.
Right.
You know how they passed that hat a little early, but so Doc actually did it though, and not only did she do it, but she put her money where her mouth was, and she put the money into the organization so that I could work. And
Yeah.
so this it brings me to a larger point though, and something that I think the doc and Git have done for me personally, and I don't know about you, but I'll just say for myself, they made a commitment. I didn't know this, but when the organization was started, they made a commitment that anytime they asked anybody to lend their talents to the organization, they were going to make sure they got paid for it, that they got compensated, even if it wasn't a huge check. They were going to make sure there was a check in that person's pocket. When Git first gave me a check, it may have been the first time I ever got a check for the Carpenters Apprentice. I just don't think it had ever.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what, man? That moment for me was such a. I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. If she thinks that my talents are worth paying me for right now, I bet you there will be others. And all I, but you know, it just takes one person believing in you for you to believe in yourself a little bit more. And so Git did that for me, like on a very personal level.
Oh yeah, and that's a lot of, that's the one thing that I noticed constantly was the fact that, yeah, it was one of those things where it was just all like, even if you felt mediocre or like you were just starting off, that still doesn't mean that you shouldn't be compensated for your time, and I think that she was able and is able to build a lot of people up in that way, because, by us feeling empowered,
Yeah.
for us being us, we can then, be more passionate about getting people to take more notice with what's going on around them, and I think that, that is super dope because when I heard that y'all were wanting that y'all were on a initiative, so explain to the people what this initiative is as far as with the face mask and the reasoning behind getting the face mask.
Okay, so the campaign is called Mask Not Capes. And I want to be clear, though I am assisting with it, our co host Ryan, he is like the one really spearheading it. Him and Dr. Browning, they really are doing a lot to make this thing happen. Okay, so Mask Not Capes, what we're doing is anybody who has an N95 mask, the really fancy medical kind, there's a lot of different people who might have one just laying around. Tradesmen, artists, uh, whoever the fuck, maybe you just have one for whatever reason, right? And if you have some of those N95 masks and they're unused, we're partnering with the local hospital to get those N95 masks to them. In exchange for donating your N95 to the hospital through us, we will give you a cloth mask that you can wear and use, and those are totally sufficient for what we're doing out here just as everyday citizens. But what they need in there is those N95 masks because they're really on the front lines fighting this thing.
And that is so freaking awesome. And even when I was just like listening to the concept, I was just all like, oh, this is so important because, my mom works in the medical field as well,
Yeah,
and it's one of
yeah,
those things that, it's not like, yo, she's on the front line, these medical, workers that are out there, they're the ones like direct, full fledged, access with what's going on. And I'm just all like, that's super important. And like I was telling Lauren, I released this song Face Mask on March 20th. It was like before everything was about to go down. And it was the weekend before they were telling us that starting Monday, these curfews or quarantine and, stores are shutting down. I was just like, I went to the store and I saw like all that empty aisles and I was just all like, yo, what in the world, But then I started noticing, just a lot of the panic buys, a lot of the just, people that was just all like, not really taking a time to actually like see actually what's going on and where the attention needs to actually be at, and of course, with people not able to work or having to work from home or having to close down businesses and everything like that, this I watched this webinar and it was saying how this is the perfect time to, instead of being quiet, to make as much noise as possible and they brought up the comparison between Kellogg's and Post during the Great Depression, and it was just all like during that time, Post decided to stay quiet, all the while Kellogg's like jumped up with the advertising, even introduced a whole new thing, which was Rice Krispie treats, and it had the snap crackle and pop L's, like, and we see as far as what happens because no matter whether there's a pandemic or whatever it is that's going on, there's certain ways there's essentials or things that people need. People forget America is a consumer place, so when it comes to they're going to spend money regardless, that's where we're fueled by, and so when I saw as far as the mask and I seen the different things that were happening, I did this actually before I started it. There was already people using my song on TikTok to make videos, and I seen people making these hundreds of like masks and different things, and they were just in the background. So I want to reach out to them, and hopefully I can like have them as a guest next week. And it would be cool if I can have Ryan as a guest next week as well. But if I can somehow infuse, them with them looking for places to donate these masks that they're making and somehow get that to go to get, I think that would be really cool because there were several people making cloths. There was this one that looked like it was like a factory. There was like a stack full of just freaking things. And I was all like, what in the world is going on?
So your song got used in all these videos?
Yeah.
Wow. And were you at that time the only one with face mask as a title?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like it's crazy. Like when I looked at it and I was just like, but when it comes to art, and I think this shows what people are made of during these times. It's like when shit hits the fan, what are you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna create art. I'm going to try to help. I'm gonna try to do all of these things because that just is how I make myself. That's how I feel useful, and it's just all like with everything that's going on, the best thing to do is to use what you're good at, use your influence, use your talents, use your skills. And especially during this time, you want to work on your brand. Like this is the time where, brands, businesses have to go in on content, bringing out recycled content, putting out all the stuff, because this is the type of they say that most people are online during the holidays as far as like Christmas and all of this. Well, this topples, this is the time when the most people are online at one time, so your access to people is going to be a lot, better. And so we're on the CBD Fair and Market show. And so, I have to ask you questions about cannabis and CBD and all of those
This
things.
is the post I've been waiting for.
So, the interesting thing that I recently had found out about you is that you actually, I don't know if you still are, but you were doing like videos on strand testing and everything like that. So, like, how did that start, and where did your whole love for cannabis, even come from?
Dude. All right, back to the cannabis love. I had done like a 2 to 3 year stint just being a criminal and a professional fuck up, basically. And I was like, I had never tried weed before. I was about 25, but I was doing like every other drug in the book. So I'm at some trap house and they're passing around a joint, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try it this time. Let me try it. So I hit it once, nothing, and we're all sitting outside. And I pass it again, around again, and I take a puff and pass it. And then I looked up and I was like, man, have y'all ever seen how beautiful the moon is? And just from that moment on, it was over, brother. I knew it. And I remember, like, I didn't know if it was that same session or if it was a subsequent one, but I remember turning to somebody and being like, I have gobbled up whole CVS's trying to catch this feeling, this buzz. You know what I mean? So then I started using it, and, between that and my faith, I feel like the marijuana gave me I don't know how to call it, like maybe just the the noise quieted down with the marijuana. It could just turn down the volume a little bit on everything that was all the bullshit.
Yeah.
And then strengthening my faith could show me how to build a foundation that would put me in a better position to handle life. So those two things working in sync with each other really started a turnaround for me. And in the process of that turnaround, so I was a politician before I was a criminal. Well, some would say I was a criminal too before before I was a professional criminal. So I did politics before. So then I go into crimes, and then I come out, and now I'm trying to rebuild my life. And I'm doing carpentry and just trying to like be a decent man. I had no thoughts of helping anybody else at that time. I was just trying to get my ship straight. And then once I did, or got to a position where I was like, okay, I can do more now. I'm ready to take on just a little more, a little more. Finally, at some point, I was like, I need to communicate with other people again. I had burned every bridge I had because I turned my back on the bad lifestyle. So all those friends I had to totally cut out. And then the people from the lifestyle before, the politician stuff, they knew I was a criminal after. So they had all just like, I was like the plague to them. You know, everybody kind of turned their back with the exception of my family. And so I just stuck right there, but I knew I needed friends. Like I needed a way to get out to people again because I didn't really have any friends. I couldn't think of that many people to call if I had something that I wanted to do or talk about.
Yeah.
It was pretty lonely, honestly. And then I knew I liked marijuana, and I was like, well, there's other people who must like it too, but I was broke, so I couldn't review strains and shit. I couldn't review wraps. I had enough money to get wraps.
He's like, I got the wraps. I just need the herb.
Yeah, man. I was like, come on, man, send me a nickel.
Right.
So then I go to a local shop here in the South Side. It's called Fly Times now, I went there and I talked to the guy behind the counter, and I said, hey man, you know, if I do this, will you help me out? Can you hook me up a little with this and that? I said, it's brand new. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I have this idea to do a review show. And it was called Roy Aguillon because it was just my name on YouTube. And he goes, you know what? I will help you out. He didn't tell me he'd give me for free. He gave me like a 10% discount or something like that. But and then every now and again he'll give me something. But he goes, the only thing I'm going to ask from you is consistency. Funny how he said that word right before I even started too. He said, whatever you do, don't stop it. He goes, we'll help you out, but just don't quit on it. And I was like, okay, that's important. So then I said yes, and the whole beginning of the Carpenters Apprentice, even the reason for the name change, was because I was reviewing weed wraps. And you can go back to YouTube and see all the weed wrap reviews we were doing. I would judge things on a 1 through 5 leaf scale, you know, like the marijuana leaf. And so like 5 would be the highest compliment I could give somebody, and 1 would be just, you know, try to avoid at all costs. And I reviewed all kinds of wraps, all kinds. You wouldn't even imagine. And then once one of those videos got 250,000 views, and it was for how to pack one of these.
Goodness.
So when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, we're gaining traction, baby. And I was developing my skills because I was solo talking to the camera. Nobody who I knew or loved knew about the show because I was just doing it to the internet. I embarrass myself. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Keep that shit private. You don't want people to be seeing that. So, but the people on the internet were responding to it, and I was having good conversations in the comments. People were saying good things. I had some success with that one video, and that's when I was like, okay, first of all, Flight Times ran out of different things for me to try, so I was running out of content to share, and I was getting fucking bored just smoking and talking, and it was just boring to me. So then I started doing interviews, man. And then but everything that we did was with the cannabis wraps. That's our whole love. That's how they got involved with the Carpenters Apprentice. We've gone to Colorado on the show now. King Palm has become a sponsor. Every now and again, we work together on this or that project. It's just fantastic, man. I could not imagine this.
Man, that is like super legit. Like, and you know, it's one of those things that, you know, I want people to really, who are tuning in or that goes back and watch this, to really understand. You said something so important, and that is consistency. And anytime that I've seen the accomplishment of any goal, it was through consistency. You know, it was through straight up consistency. And it's hard to be consistent when you don't know what it is that you want, you know, or where it is that you're even going, you know. And sometimes it's just having that faith. I know you had brought that up earlier, you know, and so when it comes to when it comes to um your faith, and especially with smoking, a lot of people think, like, how can he be a man of faith, smoke it? And I'm just all like, well, I don't think you know a lot about faith, or what these healing herbs are actually used for, especially during ancient times, especially during, it is medicine. Like, this isn't alternate medicine. This is the original medicine.
The original. Well, we're that alternate shit, and we're not exactly sure what's what.
Exactly. And so when did you first even hear about CBD? Like, what was like, when did it pop up for you?
It's funny that guy was talking about Dallas, the one who was on before from CBD Country, because I was in Dallas, man, and I was actually I was hooked on opiates, and like I mean bad. Like I was having withdrawals and shit if I didn't have them daily. So I was running out of a supply. I didn't have any connects out there in Dallas, so I was fucking scrambling, bro. And one day I went out and about on a mission to go to smoke shops and try to find anything that they had legally that could suppress that whatever the fuck that
Yeah.
that was telling you like get more drugs. So I saw on the internet something called CBD, and they said it was legal marijuana. And I was thinking it was like Climax, that K2 shit.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
quite understand what it was, but I was like, fuck it, I'm down to try whatever. Let's just see what's up. So I went on a hunt. There was one place in like all of Dallas at that time that had anything that even mentioned CBD. So I drove to that place. It was an office building with a bunch of suites, and they were closed. And I was like, fuck. So then the whole rest of that day, I was on a mission to find the CBD shit and couldn't find it anywhere. But that was my first ever encounter with CBD. And since then, it's been a pretty beautiful journey.
Oh man, and I love hearing how, people first interact with CBD, because it's just all like, it comes to people at a very specific time. I see where it came into my life, and with me, I think that the CBD is more so like my shield with smoking cigarettes and that nicotine. Like, I feel like that same kind of, thing with the opiates, that's that nicotine dependency as well, especially for someone who just like smokes cigarettes, just because of the simple fact that I like smoking. And so sometimes when you get into that, like, you like smoking, and we're in a particular place where, can't just like pull out a fucking J like it's nothing, like at the job or something, unless you're in the car, and so the cigarettes were kind of like that crutch. And plus, like me, like I do a lot of research, and the most coolest people that I ever see in entertainment smoke. Like, it doesn't matter if it's anime, it doesn't matter if it's like a freaking deep thinker, author, everything. I always see the freaking smoke. Even wizards. We're talking about Gandalf with the motherfucking pipe and everything like that. So I'm just all like, yo, that is me. But the cool thing about learning these different herbs that you're able to smoke, you're able to find out that, oh, there are, stuff that I can smoke a lot, and not nearly be close to getting any type of like your body getting fucked up, or anything like that. You know. So it's
And
very
that's what happens when you live in the hood. Sometimes you hear that's part of the territory. In a little bit, you might hear an ice cream truck.
exactly. So what is one of the things that you cannot wait to get back to when all this shit is said and done?
I love hustling, brother. I mean, I really enjoy going out there, chasing contracts, making my bread, developing the mission for this show. I enjoy that very much. But I was concerned in the beginning because I felt like all of my ability to create or do good things was only by bringing people together, and that was specifically what they were telling us not to do anymore. So that fucking scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh no, how am I supposed to still make an impact or a difference without being able to connect people? And I didn't know, but found a way to adapt. So while I think it's cool, like to have a new trick in the book, I can't wait to be able to go back to that, to where I can make the human connections again, where we can bring people together. Like, there's something about bringing, I don't want to say a lot of folks, but maybe like anywhere between 10 to 20 people who are real movers and shakers, and they're like on the ground. You know, these are people who are coming up. It's really cool to get all of us together in a room. And, you know, I would like to go to Jokesters and invite everyone out just to bond and get to know each other in a setting that wasn't professional. Yeah, I think you have to be able to have conversations that are kind of beautiful like that. Yeah, so anyways, I can't wait to do that. I want to have everybody come back to. I want to be able to bring people into a room together. Let's all synchronize with one another. Let's get to know each other, because when we leave those rooms, the individual conversations they'll have with each other afterwards are going to be really powerful. Man, yeah. I can't hear you.
Okay, there we go. That's one of the things that, you know, I'm excited about, you know, as well. And, you know, just before I let you go, let the people know where they can find you and leave them with some words of encouragement, whether it's, you know, the people that are around you, other artists, creators, or the people that are on the front line. You know, just leave them with some words of encouragement.
Okay, first, you can find us on Facebook at The Carpenters Apprentice. On YouTube, you can find The Carpenters Apprentice, but I would caution you, basically, that's a historically archived place. There's not really a lot of action going on there. But you can follow us on our most active platform, which is Instagram, at tc.apprentice. And over there, we fucking make shit happen. We're cooking over there at all times. As to the second part of the question, some wisdom. Here's the really, 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 really cool thing, is that according to the good book, the glory of God is within all of us, not just one of us, not just some of us, not a group of us, but in all of us. And I think there's something really, really special about that the glory of God is within all of us. That means that we are able to do something that is God-like, in that we can be so transformative that it will reflect the goodness of God. So, why am I saying that? To say this: don't wait, don't hesitate. Your destiny is calling you, and we don't have time for you to fiddle faddle with options. Chase your dream, because the rest of the world is counting on you to do it.
Woo! I wish I could get some like fire emojis to show up on the screen and whatnot. Just like that was super dope. You know, but you know, thank you so much, Roy. Y'all make sure I got the Instagram going right across the bottom. Make sure to follow them. They're doing some amazing stuff. And you know, thank you again, brother, for coming on here. I hope you stay nice, peaceful, feeling good with the herbage. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me on your program, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Yes.
All right. Bye-bye.
Peace.